All righty, has everybody got a guidebook? Good deal. My name is Scotty Sumner. This is John Foley. I'm the discipleship director with the Elgin Children's Foundation. The foundation is based, main office out of Knoxville, Tennessee. We have an office in Manchester. John and I both live in Clay County. We live in Manchester. Neither one of us are originally from there. I got a wife from there, so I might as well be originally from there. John, he's a longtime pastor in Clay County. I'm currently pastor of New Zion Baptist Church in Clay County. John's interim pastor at Macedonia Baptist Church in Clay also. I've been with Elgin for 8 years now, and I think you're going to find that this is going to be something very exciting and very life-changing for a lot of kids, their families, and also for churches. Right now we are in around 48 churches or 48 schools and churches in Kentucky. We're in a little over 90 right now in Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. We're in our 8th year of doing Bible release time in Clay County, so we're starting our 8th year down there right now. John, he heads up, John's a children's ministry ambassador. That's his title with Elgin. John's over Bell County, and John's already started them this year. He's already done. How many did you do this past week? I had 6 and got one more to go. There's 7 elementary schools in Bell. But we're in Clay, Laurel, Leslie, Jackson, Bell, Knox, Owsley. Starting in McQuarrie probably this year. We're also in Corbett Independent, Pineville, Whitley County. And hopefully we'll be in Rockcastle County starting here pretty quick. So we're just tickled to death and glad to be here today with you. I think we've got about an hour and a half, so we'll try to get with the program and make sure we're out in the appropriate time there. Just a little bit about Elgin first, just very quickly. Elgin is a foundation that was started with the Thompson family out of Knoxville. You may be familiar with Thompson Bowling Arena. The Thompson there, that's the family that has this foundation. They're coal operators, have been coal operators. They used to operate mines in Clay, Pulaski, different counties, and actually made quite a bit of money doing that with their coke plant and different things that they did. Had some inventions too that they made a lot of money with. So when they started getting out of the coal business, they wanted to give back to the counties where they made their money. And at that time, there was 10 counties total. 4 in Kentucky, 4 in Tennessee, and 2 in Virginia. The 4 Kentucky counties that was the original Elgin counties for several years was Clay, Leslie, Laurel, and Bell County. Now we've expanded about 4 or 5 years ago. The board voted to expand into the other counties, so that's the reason that we're coming into here and the other counties that we're in now as a foundation. But anyway, when Elgin first started, they wanted to give back to the counties and specifically back to the children. Their heart was really for the children, the underprivileged children in our area, basically. And so they started doing studies on what do children really need in our Appalachian counties. And one of the first things that they found out was that the biggest medical need that children in our area have is dental care. So they started with dental teams, working with schools to get children dental screenings to help with dental payments and things like that. Did that for a few years and kept searching what else do children need. And in academics found that children, reading is one of the big issues with children in our area. If they're not reading on 3rd grade level, by the time they finish 3rd grade, they're pretty much going to stay behind the rest of their academic career. So they started with a reading program, and that's sort of evolved now into a principal's program, and that is what we're doing in academics. We have a dental director that oversees our dental. We have an academic director that oversees our academics. And along with this, over time, it just sort of evolved into also a child protection. So we have a child protection director that works with child advocacy programs and centers in all of our counties. So we do that. But Mr. Thompson, who passed away about 3 years ago, got to thinking, well, we're helping children with physical needs. We're helping with academic needs. We're helping with security and safety and things of that nature. But what about their soul? I mean, what about the spiritual need that children have? If we help children, with dental care, with academics, and with everything else, But children die without the Lord. I mean, where do they go? I mean, where is eternity for them? So that's where the discipleship arm of Elgin came in. And so we started just looking for ways, how can we help churches reach more children and do children's ministry? And through that, and there's a few different things that we do as far as with summer camps, as far as with some collaborations with various churches, but we've sort of grown into the Bible Release Time program. That's sort of become our bread and butter and become probably the number one thing that we're doing from the discipleship end. And so, as I've said, we're in over 90 schools and churches in the 3 states. We got others that's scheduled to get up and going this year and hopefully next year. And so we're very excited to be here with you and with this opportunity. And so you've got your guideline book there. We got 2 different books. Actually, we have a leader's guide that I know both churches, Brother Baker and Brother Wilder, both got, I think, a couple of those. I got some more, 2 of those. It's the same book as you've got there looking at right now, except it's got a few pages in the front and a few pages in the end with some appendices and things like that. So, let's get on a little bit about Bible Release Time now. Exactly what is it? And basically, it's just an opportunity that's government approved for children to be released from school hours to attend religious instruction. And just a little quick history of Bible Release Time. It actually began in the early 1900s. There was a convention in New York City, 1908 or something like that, that addressed release time for children to get religious instruction from school. But the first really evidence we have of it actually taking place was out of Gary, Indiana, about 1914. And there the school superintendent or school director would just release school on Fridays. Every Friday school's out, go to your local parishes, churches, or what have you, and get religious instruction. And then it just kept growing from that. And by 1950, there were over 2 million children in America doing Bible Release Time, being released from school for religious instruction. Now, of course, it had been challenged several times as far as the legality of it, been in court a few times. It was in 1952, and it's referenced here in your booklet. In 1952, the Supreme Court ruled that that children can be released from school up to 1 hour a week for religious instruction. And the 4 basic criteria is, what's listed there is that, 1, they must have the parental request. So that's where we have parents to fill out their forms and make a request for their child to attend the Bible Release Time. That has to take place. No child should attend unless they've got that form filled out that's on record at school and with you. Second thing is it must be off school property. No longer can it be on school property because up until 1952, it's mostly been done on school property. A lot of the teachers were teaching it. So that was the reason there was the court case. Third thing is that no government funds can be used for it. And so that's one way that we kick in with Elgin. We do have some money. So we're able to pay and willing to pay for any and everything it takes to get the program up and going. And then the last thing there, which I already mentioned, is it can be up to 1 hour a week. And of course, what we do is 1 hour a month. And I remember when we first started this, and I first came on board and we started talking about this to do it, I really wasn't 100% sold on it. I mean, that may sound crazy, me being a Baptist preacher and not sold on getting kids out of school an hour a month for religious instruction, but I just couldn't put it together in my mind how you could really get much bang for your buck in doing it. I mean, first of all, you got to load the kids up, get them out of school, get them to the church. How long is that going to take? And then Elgin's target group is birth through 12 years old or 6th grade. So I'm thinking, man, this is young children here. I mean, so we get these kids in a building. I mean, are they going to behave? Are they going to listen? What can we get done in that time? Then we got to get them loaded back up, get them back to school. I just couldn't hardly fathom it being really that great, and it's really just shocked me. I remember the first one I ever stood up to do in Clay County. And, of course, I was scared to death. I mean, I've been preaching for 40 years. This month makes 40 years I've been a preacher. I'm a preacher. And I'm a retired chaplain with the Federal Bureau of Prisons. I've preached to a lot of inmates over the years, 200 or 300 inmates, gangbangers, what have you. I feel at home in that. Now, I don't know what that says about me, but, I'm thinking, man, to stand before these children, I just didn't think I could do it. I mean, I was nervous. I was scared. I was afraid they were going to gag and tie me. I'm never going to settle down. They won't listen to me, I know some of y'all come from school background. You're just pros at that. I wasn't a pro at that. I've pastored with children. I always loved children. I get along with kids well. Anytime I've ever left the church, I cried more over the children than anybody else. But still, to stand up and teach children, I'd never done it. And I stood before that first group, and there's probably 50 or 60 kids, and it just blew me away how attentive they were, how well behaved they were, and just how spiritual and dynamic that service was. I was shocked, amazed, pleasantly so. And it's been like that across the board, basically. And I'm not saying we never have a problem here, a problem there. A child may, but for the most part, in all of our counties, and John and I visited a lot of different Bible releases where different people do them. And man, in every case, it's that same kind of a story. I just think this is something that God is really moving in. What better opportunity can we have than to be able to go to the local school and up through the 5th grade. Clay County does 6th grade through elementary school. Y'all do 5th, like almost everybody else in the world does. I don't know why Clay County goes through 6th, but that's what they do. But anyway, just how attentive and how dynamic this is. And we've got stories of how it's even changed churches. Where churches have really reached the children, got them into the life of the church. Families have been baptized. But again, what better opportunity can we imagine than a school bus pull on our church property and drop off every child whose parent or guardian has signed for them to come? We're getting tons of children that have never been inside of a church house in their life. Every year, every single year, in Clay County, in Bell County, and in other counties where I go and we get them started, and I work with other leaders in other churches, is children coming in who have never heard the biblical Christmas story. Children who have never heard the biblical Easter story. And I tell you, it does something for me now. It may just be me. But to stand up before a group of people, even though they're little people, and to share a Bible story that they've never heard. I love to watch kids walk in who have never been inside of a church building, just watch their eyes and their facial expression when they walk into a church building. I always wondered what this place looked like, this is a real church, I'm in church. And so what we've got kids, John and I both do, that their families don't go to church, but they still look to us as their preacher. And they look to where we're doing the Bible release at, that's their church. We have kids going back home inviting their mom and dad, won't you go to my church? Let's go to my church this Sunday. And that becomes their church. And I'm not exaggerating this. I'm not embellishing, I don't think, and what I'm sharing. That's the experience that we've had with this over the last 8 years, and as we've been starting in new places. So it's just a great opportunity to reach kids. And I'm still just sort of shocked how attentive they are. I just think it's a God thing. I don't see how we can say no. How we can say no to it. We complain a lot. How God's been taken out of school, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. Well, we can one-up that. We'll bring the kids right to our church then, okay? and I know God's not out of school, but anyway, we can bring them right to our church and share the gospel, share the word with them with no restraints. We don't have, now can we pray? No, we can pray with them. We can share the gospel with them. We can lead them to Christ. It's just a great opportunity. I better be moving on here. The volunteer purpose statement, I'm not going to read that statement. You can read that, but it's about spreading the gospel and the foundational understanding of the Bible. That's what this time is really about. And let me just mention real quickly, the first statement, we collaborate with the faith community. I want to talk just a little bit about collaboration. There are basically 4 partnerships taking place to do a Bible release time. there's us as Elgin, and we'll be partnering with you and your church. So there's us, and basically what we do is do the training. We'll pay the bills. We work with the school system and do troubleshooting, but we're in the background. We're not going to come in and take over and just, even though John and I do them, I do 6 of the 7 in Clay County. John, at his church where he goes, he does that 7th one. He does them in Bell County. We got someplace, but we want your churches to take it and do it. So we got us, we got you as a church. We're partnering together to do this. We're partnering with the school. You know, we want to respect the schools. The school's got a role to play as far as working with the forms and getting the kids, helping them get out of school, onto the bus, back into the school, on the school property, and those things. So we're partnering with the school. We want to respect the schools. We want to be a partner with them. We're not trying to do something that we don't care what they think about it or what. We care for the schools. We partner with the schools. And, of course, we're partnering with the parents then. So you got Elgin, you got your church, you got the school, and basically we got to keep the parents and guardians in mind because it is their request. And when push comes to shove at the end of the day, it's parents requesting for their children to be released from school to attend religious instruction. The parents are the ones that really have the teeth to make it happen. I mean, a school official could look at me or John and say, we're just not interested. Well, and if it's in Clay County with my children, I can say, well, you're going to get interested, okay, because I've got this right, and you can't keep me and my family, from exercising our right with this. But as far as me coming up to Rockcastle County, now Elgin is really good with schools. We've been working with schools for years. Our academic program director is former principal in Bell County, does really good working with school officials. But the parents and really the church, I mean, you're the ones that can actually say, yes, we want to do this. And our experience being up here in Rockcastle, and I think John and I have been together most every time that we've been up here to talk with anybody, has just been overwhelmingly wonderful. The school officials that we have talked with here, the principals out at the school board, I mean, everybody has just been so cordial, so excited. We've not had the first person yet, have we, to throw cold water? We've not felt like we've had to force our way in here whatsoever. I mean, Rockcastle County has really been impressive as far as their desire and their willingness to work with Elgin and with us for y'all to do this. So, I mean, it's really been a good experience for us so far. Looking on over at the program essentials. Hey, John, keep me on time right there. Okay. 3 things are listed there as program essentials. One, and this may almost seem to be, it don't need to be said, but have a heart for children. I mean, how can we minister to any person or any group if we don't have a heart for them? And we do, our people need to have a heart, must have a heart for children. And we get children, from all backgrounds of life, from everything. And really our heart is for these kids. But sure, we want to make sure there's discipline, they're doing the right thing, but still we got to have a heart for them. And, you can tell when somebody loves you. I mean, I worked in federal prison for a long time in Kentucky, Tennessee, or in Texas. And, inmates would always say, well, we can tell, chaplain, whether you care for us or not. And there's just, people know when you really care. I grew up in church, and I knew that some of those much, much older people, that they're not hardly as old now as they was when I was growing up, seemed like, but I knew they cared for me. I mean, when I would walk into church, they knew my name. They would pinch my shirt, my arm. They'd pull my ear. I just knew that, I could tell that was a place of warmth, a place where people cared for me. And that's what we want in our Bible Release Time programs is for the children to come in and know that they are among a group of people that really does care and love for them. They've got a heart for them. Background checks. We do want all the volunteers, all the workers to have background checks. And what we generally ask is, whatever the school board and what volunteers, the kind of background checks volunteers need for school board or to go into a school, is, that's a basic rule of thumb, just to go through that. Now, I know a lot of churches in this day and time, which is also really good, have their own background companies or that they use. There's a Protect My Ministry is one, I think, and if a church is using something like that's really fine. As far as that, it doesn't necessarily have to go through the school board's process with that. Is there any questions on the background checks? I don't know the pastors. I know we talked about that when I met with y'all before, and you probably got that covered okay. So they're definitely good to go. Yeah, okay, good deal. And then the training, which is what we're going through right now. So, any questions on the essentials? And if you got any question, any time or any input, just raise your hand or ask me or put it out there. Curriculum. We do have a curriculum that we'll share with you. We already shared that. We have a flash drive. I've already passed a couple of these. I've got a couple more with me if anybody needs another one. But we have a curriculum that we use. We got the curriculum from a Bible release time teacher out of Pennsylvania. His name is Mark Redka. He serves with the Children's Bible Ministry out of Tennessee. And he'd been, again, doing Bible release time for about 30 years. So what he ended up doing was just recording his lessons that he did, and then he just sat down and typed them out, listened to the recording, typed them out. And he worked with us. He's moved to Virginia now, but he worked with us, so we just used his lessons. That's the lessons we have. They work on like a 4-year cycle where you start at the beginning of the Bible, and just the major Bible stories, and over a 4-year period of time you work through the Bible. That's the reason that, like in Clay County, we do 3rd through 6th grade, so that a 3rd grader can come in. They stay with Bible release for the 4 years. We've actually taken them through the Bible. Now again, that's about 6 to 8 usually lessons a year. So we're just catching the high spots. But as we go through it, I don't know who your teachers are going to be. If there's no problem to veer from that lesson sometimes. For instance, there's only one Easter lesson and only one Christmas lesson in those 4 years. And that comes in the 4th year when you're going through the New Testament. So, every year we do a Christmas lesson. When Christmas time comes in December, we do a Christmas lesson. Kids love it. Every year we do an Easter lesson when Easter comes around, and they love that. So I just do my own lesson with those. And as far as the curriculum, and John and I both, we got PowerPoints and everything with that. But, you can go right by that curriculum. You can just regurgitate that back out. However you teach, however you do, it's fine. Now, for me, I don't hardly do that. I just sort of have to put it together myself and really get it. So, I'll use the theme, but I don't go exactly by that curriculum as far as just working down through that. Again, you're welcome to do that. But I understand we're all a little different when it comes to teaching, preaching, and that sort of a thing. You got to make it your own, and we encourage you to do that. Now, if for some reason you think, well, I know another children's curriculum that I'd really like for me to use or for us to use, that's really no problem. I would sort of like to know that, well, we're using, this is what we're using. So if anybody ever questions me and say, yeah, I know what they're using there. I think it is good to be able to share with parents or anybody that may ask a question about, like, what are you teaching there? What's being taught? So if you do something besides the curriculum that we use, I think it'd still be good to have a curriculum that you're going by that you can share with somebody that may inquire about exactly what's being taught and used. This is interdenominational, even the lessons itself. If you go through those lessons, I don't think you'll be able to tell whether it was Mark Redka was a Baptist, a Presbyterian, a Methodist, Pentecostal. I don't even know what he is. I guess he's a Baptist, isn't he, John? We know him and don't know what he is, so he's hit it pretty well. But the interdenominational aspect is very important, because we're going to have kids coming in that are Baptist. I think most everybody here is probably Baptist, right? Anybody here not a Baptist? Okay. You're ashamed you're not a Baptist? So we're all Baptists here, okay? But it's not just a good old Baptist program we're doing. You know, we're sharing the gospel. We're sharing Bible stories with kids. We're not really trying to make Baptists out of them. Now, we can invite them to your church, invite them to your children's ministries. You can do all of that, and you're free to do that. But we still got to do it respecting those children who are coming that are not Baptist. I mean, there may be the local Methodist pastor whose child is coming to Bible release. And I tell people that, to me, that Methodist pastor should be able to come in, that Methodist father should be able to come in and observe a lesson and feel good that their child is coming. Same thing with a Presbyterian or Pentecostal or what have you. And we've never really had an issue, to my knowledge, in all that we've been doing for 8 years, where there's ever been a problem with it. Now, I get a phone call. There have been times, that even in Owsley County, I remember when we started in Owsley County, my name was the name and number that was on the forms that the kids filled out, because our team from Clay County went down and did it for 2 years in Owsley County. And I got a lot of calls from parents in Owsley County. Who is it? What is this program here? Who's teaching that? So, I'd get nervous, and I'd start to explain to them, but once I did, everyone loved it, as far as that. But we do need to be interdenominational in our approach and respect, kids that may be from a non-Baptist flavor, okay? Any questions on that? All right. Key roles. Let me just approach this section here like this. What does a Bible release time meeting look like? Exactly what happens when we do Bible release time. We'll talk about some of these roles with that. Now, how we do it in most of our places, about all pretty much the same way. And Bible release is done in a lot of different ways. I mean, if you were to go to different states, different places throughout America where Bible release time is being done, you'd probably see it done differently. Sometimes there's places they do it in small groups. Kids break up small groups here and there, and they do small groups. A friend of mine, John Louder, with Break Ministry down in Whitley County, and he also does some in Corbin. He's the only other one right now I know of in Kentucky that's doing Bible release time. And he was actually doing it before Elgin, and he's worked with us. We've partnered with him quite a bit. But what John did several years ago, he bought like a big school bus and turned it into a classroom. So he'll pull that bus next to the school property at 2 or 3 schools in Whitley County. And he'll sit in that bus with his team, and they'll go from class to class in their elementary school, and the kids will just walk out from the building across campus, across this one little road right there, and then have classroom in that bus. And so he just does small classes all day long out of that bus like that. Now, that doesn't work in schools where he can't get the bus next to the property and things like that, but those schools where he can do that, that's where he's doing it. And he does a great job. It's a beautiful way to do it, but our model is more of the larger group, getting all the kids to come in at one time. And so basically what it looks like is the kids pull up in the bus, wherever they pull up, where they're going to be, they pull back this way. The kids come in. We've normally got some music playing, good upbeat music that the kids will love, so we've got that going. We got our volunteers standing at the door, greeting the kids as they come in. We're high-fiving them, welcoming them to church, welcoming them to the Bible release time. We're doing all that. Of course, we got people up front that's sort of guiding them where to sit and doing all kinds of things like that. As soon as the kids all get in, we have them to sit down, stop the music. My music person gets up then, does a welcome. We have a song. The kids really get into the music. Again, that sort of shocked me. Because I got a good music guy, too, that does the music, and he gets the kids into it. I mean, whether it's 40 kids or 150 children. I mean, by the time that song's over, they're all going to be singing. A lot of the songs have emotions and stuff to it, too. So we have that song, the music. After that, turns it over to me. I get up, and here's what's amazed me. And there have been times we had 150 children, and he gets them into it. I mean, they are raising the roof. Then he turns it over to me to get up and teach. So I'm thinking, man. So a lot of times I'll just have prayer. Okay, let's pray. And we teach them. Some kids have never seen a prayer. I mean, I've taught kids this is what prayer is. And get the kids quiet, have prayer, and then after that, get into the lesson. Do the lesson with them. With a lot of our lessons, if you use our curriculum, we have these little God story animated videos that go along with the lesson. And it's about 3 to 4 minutes usually. So I'll teach the lesson. We show the God story video. that goes along with the lesson. And then after that, we have a game. And it's usually the boys against the girls. And we ask questions pertaining to the lesson that we've just done. And according to the game, they get points, things like that. And the kids really get into the game. I mean, they love the game. They're cheering for each other. They're cheering for the team and getting into all that. So we have the game asking the questions. So, and I love that. And what I like about that is that when those kids leave them, they've seen me. I've got up and taught the lesson. Then they saw a little video of the lesson. And then they've had questions on the lesson. So they've got the lesson 3 different times, really, before they leave. And then after the game, we just wrap it up. We release the kids, but we're standing back there again. And we're high-fiving them as they leave. We can't wait to see them back, things like that. And now during all this time, we've got security and safety people, maybe 1 or 2 people, whatever it takes. But we got people watching over things. We got people making sure the door is locked and nobody come in after that, and just making sure that everything is safe and secure with the kids. So, with that. The people you need, I don't know in your case yet whether the school personnel will be riding the buses and coming. Probably will be, maybe. Brother Baker, you're saying yes. So if you're saying yes, I'm going to take that as a yes. So you won't be going to the school then. Now, we got places. Laurel County is really the only county we got in Kentucky where some school staff does not come with the kids and ride the bus and come in. As much as the superintendent of Laurel County wants, he wants it going twice a month down there. I mean, we're doing middle school in Laurel County now. I mean, he is over the top, except he doesn't want teachers to come unless they clock out. Now, we got teachers there and staff that do clock out and come with the kids in some places. Some they really don't. So there, we got to have people that will go to the school and help get the kids on the bus, that will ride the bus back with the children then. And so you may need that, you may not need that. But you certainly need a person or two, and they know their job is safety and security. That we're going to make sure that these kids are safe while they're here. We're watching doors. We're not letting anybody in that's not supposed to be in. Once that last child comes in or the last people come in, we close the doors, we lock the doors. And if there's ever a knock on that door, somebody's going to know that they're the person to take care of that to see what that may be. So you got safety people, you got your music person, the person that can lead that little bit of a worship, got your teacher, someone who can teach the lesson, that can really present that lesson, that can bring the kids into it. Then you got your game. What else, John? You can do this program with as few as 4 or 5 people, or you can have 25 or 30 people. Faith Baptist outside of Corbin, it's in Laurel County, does Bible release time for Hunter Hills Elementary School in Laurel County. And Benny Bush, I don't know if y'all know Benny or not, is the pastor at Faith. And they have like 25, I think they had 28 or so volunteers. And those volunteers come and work. But have everyone got jobs? So some of their jobs is just to greet the kids come in. And then to say he'll have a volunteer on every row or every pew with the kids, talking to the kids, getting to know the kids, and just sitting among the kids. That also helps keep them quiet, keep them into it when they got an adult sitting on that row with them too. But has that. He's got a prayer team that just prays. He's got the security. Of course, he does the teaching. And you got a tech person. We didn't mention the tech person. Someone that would run the sound system and make sure you got all that set up and to do the music and to do all those things. So a tech person. And the way we do church everywhere anymore, you need that. We need a secretary. John, you didn't mention secretary. The most important person there is during Bible release time is a secretary, okay? I don't know who your secretaries are going to be, but what the secretary does basically, we have some of these sheets here, which is just the monthly Bible release time attendance form. And what I would like for your secretary to do, we got the forms. I'll send the forms with you. You don't even have to make your copies. I'll give you a pen if you need a pen. I may slip you a few dollars to send me the information here. But it's basically just you have Bible release dates today. Secretary at the end of the Bible release time, school name, whatever the school name is, district, Rockcastle, host church, whatever the host church is, volunteers present, the date of the class, the total number of students. But I'll go over this. If you got a secretary here, I'll go over that at the end maybe here. But then the total number of students, then you just take a picture of it. John, do we know who the secretary is going to be? Are they here right now? We don't know who they're going to be. Well, anyway, we need to get John Bowley, send that information to him, okay? So just take a picture of it, text it to John, then he's got that, because then I get all the numbers, and I turn the numbers into our board. And so that way our board, people from Atlanta, from everywhere, and we meet with them so often, I can give a Bible release time report, and I've got all my numbers and stuff, okay? So it's very important. And please just text that to John when you get those, so we don't have to start running down to run people down to get your numbers, okay? I've done a very poor job in years past of getting this done, and so sometimes I have to try to twist arms and threaten people to get their numbers. I do need these numbers. You know, have I emphasized that enough? Have I beat that dead horse enough right there? And they do to John because Elgin pays us a salary, so we need to keep a job. Okay? I'm just joking on that, okay? Yeah. Okay. I feel like I'm running through this real fast here. Okay. Is there any questions you have about the program itself, about the people it takes or you need, or anything on your mind right now just about the Bible Release Time program? Yeah, well, I mean, time is a big factor. And so what we basically do is more of an open assembly, congregational type meeting, service. Now, Bible releases are done different. And you know, there's nothing wrong. I mean, I don't have a problem at all with y'all making it your own in any ways that you all, with the personnel you have, with the giftedness you've got as a church and as individuals. You know, the main thing is we just want the kids, the children, when they get to a place, is to be safe and secure, is to get the message, to get that lesson, and to enjoy it. The main thing is not to have fun, but still there's nothing wrong with having fun while they're learning and doing that. And so however you go about it, I mean, if you tweak that in some ways, if there's ways you can break them up and do things, because that's done in a lot of Bible releases. I've heard. I've never really seen it, but other than John Louder, where he's got the bus beside the school, and they just come out class by class. That's smaller groups like that. But am I addressing your question or the understanding of that? Yeah, that's great. That's really good. You know, that's you know, all the Bible releases that I've ever seen or been a part of. I mean, and honestly, are really good. People do great jobs. I mean, churches know how to handle kids. I mean, I'm sure y'all have done Bible school in the past. And you know what it's like to be overrun with children, but they'll still take care of them and do a really good job. And schools do too. I mean, schools know what they're doing with kids. That's one reason that, you know, maybe I didn't have enough confidence in my schools, but I mean, you know, school personnel know how to get children out, how to get them down front, out onto a bus. I thought it'd take all day. I mean, I work for the government. I know sometimes we're not very efficient at what we do, okay? You know, the school systems, I've been impressed with every single school that I've worked with in the job that they do with kids. I really have. So what I'm saying is, that's the time you've got. And as pastors, what can we do in this time to be good stewards with this time and get the most out of this time with our children? I mean, that's sort of the way I look at it. Even when I started out, I'd never even seen a Bible release. First one I did, I'd never seen one. And I mean, I'm just thinking, though, listen, God, you've called me to do this. I've got to do it. I can't back out. I can't quit. I'm not sick. You know, I'm going to have to. So, but what is the? I mean, I'm me. Lord, you got to use me. I mean, to reach these. That's the reason I got to teach the way I teach, preach the way I preach, do it the way I do it. You know, I mean, I'm me doing it. I use props and stuff. Sometimes I do a monologue. I'm really sweating over doing a monologue with David and Goliath, and me dressing up like David and doing that. You know, killing Goliath. I hope the Lord don't make me do that, but I'm thinking about doing it. Anything that I can teach the kids that was going to reach them and make that time worthwhile to them. So, you know, however you go about doing it, you know, be yourself and be you doing it, if that makes sense. I know that's subjective in some ways, but I mean, we're not just giving you this is it, go right by this. You can't veer from this. You know, we just want these kids to hear about Jesus and to be loved by church people. Some of our kids have never been loved by a church person. And I was loved by church people growing up. I was. And I look back upon my home church I grew up in and the love. And some of these children really need. At Manchester Elementary School, at that one time, the teachers were not riding the bus. The principal didn't want them to at that time, but then the principal changed after a few weeks. So we rode the buses. So I went and got on a bus with the children. It was one of these big buses, completely full of children. So I'm walking toward the back looking for a place to sit down, and this one little boy was sitting there all by himself. And so can I sit with you? And I sat down, and I noticed now that he was dirty. His face was just sort of flushed looking. I mean, his eyes were bloodshot. I mean, he's like probably a fourth grader. And I'll never forget his little blonde head sitting there. And I could tell he was one of the have-nots. I mean, he was one of the nobodies on the bus. Nobody wants to sit with him. And I sit down beside him. I talked to him just a little bit. And he looked up at me and he said, I may fall asleep in Bible release today. I said, fall asleep. And that was right after lunch. And I said, well, I know y'all just had lunch. I said, I get sleepy too after lunch sometimes. He said, no, it's not that. He said, last night, the police, in the middle of the night, the police came and banged on the door and took Mom and Dad to jail. And I had to go stay the rest of the night with my grandmother, and I didn't sleep at all last night. And I sort of petted him on the knee a little bit, and I said, listen, if you need to take a nap in Bible release, you go to sleep. And I wasn't teaching. There was the pastor of the church was and I said, I'll make sure nobody says anything to you. If you need to sleep, don't worry about it. You sleep. And he nodded off and went to sleep during Bible release time. And my point with that is just that some of these children really need an extra dose of love and care, and just knowing that somebody thinks I'm worth something. And really, that's my heart. It's John's heart, and that's really the heart of Elgin. It really is. It's, I mean, the ones that mean the most to me, really, is when I see these little kids that I know don't hardly have a fighting chance. I mean, they're being raised in a home that's terrible. They're doing without, and we want them to know they're loved. We want to get that word to them, and whatever ways that you go about doing that is we'll pay the bus bill and the bus driver and whatever else we need to pay to get that done. So I guess that's all I want to say about that. Let's see here. We go over to suggestion for church volunteers. See that heading? Is that page 9? Is that page 9 in theirs? Page 6. I've got this leader's guide too. This other one. Let's just look at after the program launches during the school year. Day of expectations. Monitor the bus ride carefully and make it a positive experience for the children. This is an important statement. The bus ride is part of the Bible release time experience. And that's what I said and felt when I got on that bus at Manchester. Because I had a little child, interim pastor at a Presbyterian church a few years ago. I know, I know my buddies made fun of me. I can't believe you're preaching at a Presbyterian church. So, well, I think every Presbyterian church needs a good Baptist preacher, don't you? I mean, but anyway, this little boy came up to me and said, I said, you want that Bible release? He said, I'm not going back. I said, why? He said, man, there are bullies on that bus. I'm not riding the bus. So, I mean, if a child's afraid to ride the bus, then you've lost them right there. So, the Bible release time begins with the bus. Now, if we got most of the time when teachers are on that bus and things, it's not like that. But that's the reason we got to see whether, our teachers coming, teachers riding the bus, or staff, and the kids are they having a good bus experience, or there's trouble on the bus. If there's trouble on the bus, that's going to hurt that experience there. Enthusiastically greet the children when they arrive. Start the program immediately when all children are seated. I think that's important, and you all know that. As soon as that last child gets there, it's time to start, because as long as we put it off, they're going to just start getting rowdy. Have volunteers sit among the children, participate, stand at the door when they leave. Make sure the children enter and leave the building in a safe manner. This is so important, and this was sort of new to me. I didn't realize that children run everywhere they go, just about, don't they? I did not know that. Yeah, I mean, they get off the bus. As soon as they get off the bus, they start running to the church. I mean, just running neck break stride to the church. When it's over and they start going back, as soon as they get outside of that church building, they start running. And we got one church in Clay County that the steps are from here to that light just about to get up to the. That's probably embellishing somewhat, but there's a bunch of steps. And those kids, and so we're having this calm. Don't run, bus will not leave you. Make sure that they're coming and going in a safe manner. Yep. Yeah, and that's a good question, and that's an area that takes a lot of thought as far as you as a church. You've got to know what you can work with and be prepared, for children that may have some special needs as far as coming in, going out, and what have you like that. But now the school will make sure of that as far as them leaving and getting on the bus and things. But, the church does need to make sure that we've got and that we're prepared to handle whatever that need may be with the child coming. It's good. And that's I appreciate you. And that's mostly what most counties we do. In Clay County, that's the same thing there. If a child's like that person does come, and that. And I think most counties, most districts where we are, that's pretty much standard with that. Have a plan in place for children when they want to go to the bathroom. And the best plan on there is to talk to the school and talk to the kids, maybe use the bathroom before you come. If there's any way to make sure they're using the bathroom before they come, because we all know if one child gets up and goes to the bathroom, how many children are going to end up going to the bathroom? How many children just about came are going to go to the bathroom? And so it's the best to try to make sure that they do that before they. And there are times that you're going to have to let a child go to a bathroom too. You've got to make that call and do that. But post-class wrap-ups. One thing I would say is that your team that does it, be sure you get to the facility plenty early enough to make sure everything's set up and everything's ready. The sound system, everything's working. Everybody knows what their job is, what they're going to be doing. Everybody's in place. Talk about that. Get together before the kids show up and pray together. And really get ready for those children to come. And then when it's over, take a few minutes. Everybody just take a few minutes to talk about it. Everybody just huddle up and how do you think it went? I mean, Brother Dennis may, how'd that lesson go? Are you going to do the teaching, Dennis? Or, okay. How about the music? Or I saw a few kids over here. Was everything? I mean, just sort of debrief yourself on how things went. What can we do the next time to do better? or and things like that. Just to have a good follow up with that. Um, Communicate positive stories. That's other expectations throughout the year of what's happening with the program. Build and maintain a good relationship with school personnel. Um, that's something, Elgin is very much pro public school education and also all education as far as that goes. But we do want to keep a good rapport with our school personnel. And we've seen a lot of instances where it's just been a beautiful relationship where the church and the school really, that church became a great help to that school, even beyond Bible release time, because that relationship was established and built, and it was a very good thing. Be sensitive to the fact that some children attend other churches. Build a volunteer team so that if one cannot attend, there's a qualified substitute. Build in unity. If you ever get a chance to go to see somebody else's Bible release time, it's always good to go watch somebody else. Go visit somebody else, see how they do it. It may be refreshing and also informative to see somebody else. Hand out information to the students regarding upcoming children's events at your church. Again, this is a great opportunity to share with the kids what's going on at the church for them. Any other questions for me right now? Yeah, it's done differently. And down in Clay County, what we do there is we do have. I will go to the dollar store, Dollar Tree, or Save a Lot, or something like that, where it's cheap, and get some of a bag like Dum Dums on the Dum Dum suckers, because they are allergenic free, or whatever that statement is with that. Because we got to watch for allergies and things like. But I know the Dum Dums. There's 2 or 3 those little. Smarties, so you can give them Dum Dums or you can give them Smarties, which are, they. And so what we do, and then when the kids leave, we'll hand them out one we'll give them one as they leave like that. Sometimes, like during the game time, kid answers the question correctly, we'll give them a Dum Dum, one of them little suckers or something, and we do that. It's just. Now we always tell them, do not eat this on the bus, do not and then we try to give them instructions like that. Now, do they follow our instructions? Maybe not. And so that's really your call. That in Bell County, I noticed you didn't take no candy, so you shortchanged your kids. So, sometimes, John, if I get candy and give it to John, he'll give it to the kids. If I don't get candy and give it to John, then Bell County kids don't get no kids, okay? Or don't get no candy. That's just something that, whatever works for you and your church, along with the school too. And I appreciate, and I know you being a school retiree, I believe, aren't you? A principal for a long time there. So you understand the school side too, and a lot of you all do. And that's really good where you understand, and we want to appreciate both sides. And we want to accommodate both sides, whatever's best. So, and again, it's just an hour, less than an hour really. If you don't start with candy and treats, then it's never even thought about, really. But if you do, then it starts getting thought about some. And sometimes, where's our treat this time? I thought we was getting. Where's my Dum Dum sucker? Or something. So that's just a call that you'll need to make, and some do it, and some don't. Yeah. 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 So again, it's there's nothing wrong with talking to your school people and get some advice from them on certain things. I mean, you know, uh, what do you think about us doing this with this? And sometimes just, you know, they're in the kid's business and don't really understand well. I think the first year or two we didn't do anything, and for some reason we finally started getting into the candy business there a little bit. Jo- Yeah, I mean, I try not to tell our board that we're passing out candy because we are running a dinner program. Of course, that might be job security too. I don't. Well, I'm gonna let John do that last section right there with it.
Thank you, Scotty. Appreciate that. Yeah. All right. Yeah, let me just say that my name's John Bowley, and I'll be kind of your point man on your Bible Lease program in Rock Castle. Scotty's actually my boss, and I don't know how he qualified for that, but anyway, he's my boss, and so I'll need those numbers so that I can give them to him so that we can report to Elgin. And so if you don't have my cell number and you're going to be working in the program, you want my cell number, let me give that to you. Just make a note. If you don't have it, it's my name's John Bowley, Boley. I'm the only one in this part of the country. I'm not a Bowling. I'm not a Bolin. I'm a Bowley. All right, Boley. And my phone number is 606 813 2712. And I answer about all my calls, whether I recognize it or not, and let them tell me if they're a scammer or not. But I go ahead and answer. So don't be afraid to call me if you have an issue, you have a question, anything that I can help you with. That's what I'm here to do. And so I want you to know that I'm available for that. If you look at the toward the back of your book, we're in a section now called the Volunteer Guidelines. And let me just say that you know, part of our expansion, we like Scotty's doing all the programs in Clay County. What happened in Clay County was that we were a new program, and so we started with a team, and the team went around and began in every church and every school to do the program. So what's happened is the churches in Clay County never took ownership of the program, and so what it means is that Scotty still has to have his team and go to do all the Bible release times in the whole county. Well, that's fine if you've just got a couple of counties. You know, we can take a team and do a couple of counties. But as Elgin expands into new places, we have to have the collaboration with the churches, where the churches take ownership of this program and say, this is our program, and we're going to do this for the glory of God to reach these children in our community. And like I say, it gives your church a great opportunity to be identified by the kids and by the school as being, this is our church, this is the school's church. And when there's a trouble come up at the school or a tragedy happen at the school, then they'll be looking to your church to be there to offer aid and comfort or whatever it is, because as you all know, there's things that happen nearly every year. There'll be some kind of a tragedy or a problem that comes up. And so it's good for your church to it really puts your church on the map in your community. And that's what I love about having the churches involved. And so the more that you take ownership of the program, I think the greater testimony it will be of the heart that your church has for the community. And you know, that's the way I think our churches used to function and still need to function. As far as the curriculum that we use, the Children's Bible Ministry curriculum, I can't use that curriculum because I'm a Baptist preacher, and I like to make PowerPoints. I do PowerPoint. I do my own PowerPoints. Scotty uses a lot of props because he don't know how to do PowerPoints. But I do PowerPoints, and I don't necessarily use the curriculum except to get the theme for that month, whatever the theme is. Like we're on year 3, lesson 1 this year, and the first story is the story of David and Goliath. So I'm doing in Bell County, David and Goliath. If you want to see a program, I'm doing one at 12:30 tomorrow at Frakes Elementary. If you can find Frakes, you'll be doing good, okay? But you'd be welcome to drive to Frakes if you want to. and I'll be doing one over there. But about the curriculum, I just want to emphasize that what I like to do with the curriculum, like Scotty said, you don't necessarily have to use the Children Bible Ministry play-by-play, curriculum. But I do like for everybody, like I would love, since I'm going to be working up here in Rock Castle with you guys, I would love for all of you, even if you use a different curriculum, at least do the same lesson, okay? So like if they're doing, if David and Goliath is say where you're at, that's where I'm at over in Bell County, but y'all probably starting on year one, lesson one, which will be what is the Bible, where you talk about, what the Bible actually is. And that what is the Bible lesson, the only thing I would say about that is everybody teach the same lesson. You know what I mean? If you use another curriculum still, focus on what is the Bible out of that curriculum. You know what I'm saying? But or put together your own lesson. But I like for everybody, that way the whole county is on the same page. We're all kind of working together with the same lesson. Everybody's not just out doing their own thing and got things rolling, in their own direction. And so that's what I would ask about the curriculum as far as that goes. I'm going to be real quick here because I know we've been here over an hour. Anybody needs to go to the restroom? You know where the restroom is? Because I don't. But I'm going to be quick because I've got to go to the restroom. But anyway, you older men, you know what I'm talking about. But the first thing I wanted to mention is on the volunteer guidelines is about the confidentiality. Confidentiality means you protect personally identifiable data, information, records, anything to do with the kids, or the thing that I want you to be careful about is don't let your church become a rumor mill for what the kids are talking about. If they come in talking about some teacher or something that happened at school, and you hear from the kids, then don't go home and get on Facebook and start an investigation to try to find out what's going on and start asking questions because I heard this from one of the kids. I heard one of the kids come from school say that the teacher, did this or that. You can't do that, okay? You just can't do that. And I'll do like I do in Bible release class. Everybody say, I can't do that. I can't do that. That's what I do. That's part of my teaching, see. That's how I'll say what I do. But anyway, so I can't do that. I can't, and if I'm over at the school picking up the kids, getting on the school bus, I'm standing in the principal's office waiting for him to call them out of class, and I'm standing there, and there's some parent that's in the principal's office that's just raking him over the coals about something. You know what I can't do? I can't go out and get on Facebook and start to, well, guess what I heard today at the school? You can't do that. You just can't do. That's what confidentiality is, okay? Confidentiality is anything you overhear about a kid, about a family, about a personal situation, about a teacher, about a principal, about a lunchroom worker, about a bus driver. Anything you hear, you can't carry a tale and repeat it, okay? You have to keep that to yourself, all right? And that's something that's so important. I think that's something that has messed up and derailed a lot of good programs is because we like too much to get in other people's business and start searching things out and finding out, what happened, or is this true, or is that true? And it's none of your business. Everybody says, none of my business. None of my business. That's a good thing to say every once in a while, okay? Now, on the other hand, if you hear a kid that's getting beat, if you see a child that's got a mark on him, then you certainly do have business to tell the school administrator, okay? You don't tell everybody in the church. You tell the school official, hey, this kid has got a bruise on the side of his head, and I noticed it over at Bible release time, and he acts like it's hurting him, and I just wanted to report to you this is what I saw. That's not violating confidentiality, but if you go home and talk about it to everybody in the country, then that is violating confidentiality. So you've got to use your head because that's the easiest, quickest, fastest way to derail the program, okay? That can derail the whole program if we turn it into a big gossip mill. Okay, so and there's some things on there when gossiping is permitted, and when talking is not gossiping. I'm not even going to go into that because you know when you're gossiping and you know when you're not gossiping, and most of the time you're gossiping. Okay, so let's just be honest about it. Let's keep our mouths shut. Let's do what God's called us to do. Let's reach these kids with the gospel, with the love of Christ. Let's show them something maybe they've never seen before. Okay. They've heard all the gossip. They've heard all the bad stuff. Let's show them something decent and something good. So that's the thing about confidentiality. You've got that in front of you, and you can read that and take it for what it says. Discipline. You can't lay your hands on the kids. I hope you know this. If you don't know this, then I'm going to tell you. You can't lay your hands on the kids. It says never hit, slap, spank, pinch, push, or in any way use physical contact as a means of discipline. At no time will a child be struck, roughly handled, verbally abused, or demeaned as a disciplinary measure. Producing pain or embarrassment is not a legitimate means of controlling students' behavior or for getting their attention. We had one guy that years ago was working over in Bell County, and he was verbally berating a child that was talking and cutting up, and he was verbally really embarrassing that child. And the pastor happened to be walking through the vestibule and overheard what he was saying to that child. And the next day he called me because I was working in Bell County at that time. He called me and he told me, he said, I do not want that man to come back to my church and teach children. He said, I do not want him here. Because what happened was that pastor, when he was a little boy, about that age, he got brought to church, and he went to church, and people loved on him. And he was wilder than a buck. And he said, those people loved on me, and he said, that's the only reason I'm saved today is because somebody at church loved me. And when I heard that man putting that child down in front of all those other children, he said, I want him out. I don't want him back. He said, I've got a youth director that can teach the lesson, and she'll take over. She'll teach the lesson, whatever we have to do. But that guy is not coming back to my church. All right? Why? Because he chose to use that put-down discipline, okay? These kids hear that all the time. They get it at home. They get it from their siblings. They get it from their aunts and their uncles and their cousins. They don't need to come to the house of God and hear it from you, okay? They don't. And so be careful about how you treat these kids. You better remember that everybody's somebody, that these kids mean something to the Lord, and that you're dealing with kingdom work here, and it's not about your kingdom, it's about His kingdom, okay? And so that's the thing we've got to keep in perspective. And so I just want to remind you of that. You know, there are some ways you can keep control. One thing I saw a fella do one time, when the game, we always keep points, you know. And there were some boys cutting up over here on one side, and he called them down, you know, once or twice. He said, all right, boys, look up here now. Come on, boys, pay attention. Well, they kept cutting up. Well, he reached in his shirt pocket, and he pulled out a note card, and he took a pen. And he said, all right, that's minus 500 on the boys' team for the game. And they were like, no, you can't. He said, yeah, minus 500. Boys, you're already in the hole on the game because you won't be quiet and listen. And so you know what they did? They straightened right up. They didn't want to get their points taken away. And there's ways that you can use some tough love, but still not be so overbearing and so hateful to the kids. And so, and let me say this, it makes a big difference having the school personnel there. The more school people you have, the better behaved the children will be, because they don't want to show out and act up in front of the school personnel who they know do have a lot more power to discipline them. A third thing we want to talk about just quickly, and again, this you can read this, but the two-adult rule. The two-adult rule states that there must always be two non-related adults present when supervising one or more students. In other words, a man and his wife don't need to be out there alone with a kid, but it needs to be somebody that you're not related to. You know, the two-adult rule basically means that if you have to take a child into a place where the other children aren't around, you have to have two adults that's not related to each other, so that child can't say, well, they did this or they did that. You know what a litigious society we live in, and you know that everybody's looking to get a lawsuit and get some free money and that kind of thing. We have to be careful, defend ourselves, and by doing that, we make sure that we're never alone with the child. And if we do that, say you've got to take a child to the bathroom, and sometimes you will, make sure that you're always within sight of other adults. You stay out in the public area. You don't ever go into a bathroom with a child. And like I said, if there's a child that needs help like that in the bathroom, then they should have an aide with them that can go in the bathroom with them. But you make sure that you protect yourself. Don't ever be, like I say, and even if a child needs counseling, say some child is really troubled and wants somebody to pray with them, or maybe one of them wants to, receive the Lord, or you say, well, I need to talk to this child. You don't take them off in the Sunday school room by yourself, okay? But you take that child to a back corner back there, but you're still in the main room where people can see you and where people could testify, no, they were never out of our sight. We could see them the whole time. And again, this is just defending yourself because we live in such a litigious day. And so always have 2 adults present when supervising one or more students. And like I say, always be within sight of another student at all times. If you do have to take a child to the restroom, then, I'd go, if the bathroom's back there, I'd go and I would stand right there in that door and point at the bathroom, let the kid go in the bathroom. But I'd stay right there where they could see me. And that way, like I say, you're always covered. And there's people that's got a witness to you. And you can see that down at the end about taking a child to the bathroom. These things are all pretty basic and self-explanatory. They're lessons that we've all pretty well learned over the year. Let's go down to the last thing here about touching. Quite simply, no person, I'm going to read all of this, quite simply, no person in contact with students, including staff, volunteers, visitors, guests, anyone, will be allowed to touch students in areas roughly blocked out by the rectangle in the diagram shown below. It is entirely possible to effectively show compassion and Christian caring through a pat on the arm, a hand on the upper shoulder, etc. Not permissible are tickling, massage, back rubs, rump slaps, or any of other contact inside the blocked out shaded area on the diagram. Hugs must be brief with arms placed only near the upper shoulders. Now, I'll tell you what, every time I have a Bible release time, there'll be a kid coming out the door that'll come in for a hug. You can't stop a kid from coming into a hug. I kind of turn my side to them, I take their hug like that. I pat them on the back, send them on their way. You can't stop a kid from coming in for a hug, but you be careful even then in how you do that and how you touch that child. And like I say, if they initiate the hug, that's one thing, but I'm not going to stand there with my arms wide open trying to get a hug out of every kid that comes out of Bible release time. You understand what I mean? Be kind and courteous and cordial, and be warm and be friendly and be caring, but watch how you handle yourself around the children. And those are just things that we just want to go over with you to make sure that you understand, because again, some of those things can really derail a program, and they can even lead to some real serious problems legally. So follow those guidelines and you'll be fine, guarantee you. All right. Well,